Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this last panel. Well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have almost reached the end of our program. And I don't know about you, but after listening to so many creative, innovative, and smart solutions, I will leave this conference feeling very optimistic.
Me too. I'm amazed at the projects, the initiatives that we've heard about, all the experts that we had on stage. Well, they all have one thing in common. They have made important choices to be part of an agenda, a movement to build a sustainable future and to create real solutions.
But before we go home, we want to know what the next step are. So please welcome on stage our pioneers of the R20 Austrian World Summit, Mrs. Monika Langthaler, Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger, and President Alexander van der Bellen.
Arnold is coming in a minute.
Okay, Arnold is coming in a minute.
He's on his way.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so jetzt sind wir alle da. Monika, if it's all right, I'd like to start with you. You and your team, you've worked so hard on today's event, and you've said, though, several times that today is just the start of things. So, what's the next step for this initiative?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. First, I want to thank some people. Of course, first of all, these two inspiring men. Without them, this wouldn't have been possible in this short time that we organized this summit. We are so lucky to have President Alexander van der Bellen and that we have Governor Schwarzenegger as our two really leaders and pioneers for this R20 Austrian World Summit. So please, again, a big hand for those two environmental leaders here. And secondly, I really want to thank my great team from Brainbows. You know, we are here on the stage, which is a great honor, but behind the scene and backstage, there are so many helping hands, and we worked hard for the last weeks, and these are so many people in the room, outside the room, and they worked so hard, and I had a great team. I really want to thank my team from Brainbows and R20 Austria. Thank you so much for creating this. And as we are a team, I'm the only part here for R20 Austria&EU, but we have Christophe Nuttall, we have Michel Sabin, we have so many great pioneers here, Thierry Terminen, John Titmarsh, so many of us, and we only could do it with all these great people today and this great networking because R20 is an international organization, and what we want to do, and the work starts again tomorrow, is really to help to implement all these projects, to create these new financial instruments, which you just heard in this last panel, to help the regions really to go quicker forward. And next year, then we will come back and we will show you a lot of these projects which we want to implement and really follow our credo, less talk, more action. So thank you very much again.
Herr Bundespräsident, wir haben heute von so vielen Best-Practice-Beispielen gehört, die zeigen, wie man das Paris Agreement umsetzen kann. Wie werden Sie in den nächsten paar Monaten diese Initiative, den Austrian World Summit, unterstützen?
Can I answer in English?
Of course.
First of all, let me say that I'm really very impressed about this conference, about its organization. Thank you again, Monika, and the interesting projects you heard about in the afternoon. Projects that can be done, actually, where we have the solution and only need the decision to do it. I will do everything to keep climate change on the political agenda. You can be assured about that. Maybe I can add a personal remark here. It must be more than 30 years ago that when I was still professor at the University of Vienna, that I started doing lectures and seminars on climate change from an economic viewpoint. I was an economist. But you have to realize that when economists take notice of such a topic, then the climatologists, the people from the natural sciences, have been working on that for at least 20 years already. Then I went into politics. And I can tell you, I was rather frustrated many times when Monika and I and other people tried to put climate change on the political agenda. And now I'm really very happy that after the Paris conference, finally, it seems to be the case that all nations minus one federal government seem to be convinced that something should be done and something must be done to attack this one of the greatest challenges I think that mankind has ever faced. I had a little experience, but I remember that very well. Years ago, it must be at least 20 years ago, I made a walk in the Tyrolean mountains in the valley where I come from. And there's an interesting path over the mountain to cross into the next valley. The pass is about 3,000 meters high, or a bit higher than that. I did that once. It takes you about 6 to 8 hours, depending on the ice on the way. And then when I tried to do it again very soon, on a height of maybe 2,300 meters or so, I came to a sign that said, Lebensgefahr, nicht weitergehen. Your life is in danger, you shouldn't go on. And it turned out that the northern slopes are really already dangerous because in previous times, the stones in there were fixed by permanent frost. And when the summer gets warmer and the winter gets warmer, then coming the spring, not to talk about the summer, these stones are come easily out. So you have to take notice of the danger of stone avalanches. So many people, until not very long ago, didn't realize that climate change is something that is very important for Austria too, not only for the desert countries. Indeed, in the Alps, climate change is going on even faster than in some other regions of the world. So I will do everything I can in the political situation that I am now to keep this important topic on the political agenda. I'll do my best, you can be assured. And I will be happy to be here again next year.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Schwarzenegger, you are the inspiring leader of the R20 movement, and you decided that this summit should be held in Vienna every year. So the big question is, will you be back? And when?
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you very much, Mr. President, for your great partnership. I love working with people that are as passionate as you are and love getting into and getting the work done, not just dialogue, but action. And I want to say thank you also to the Chancellor for having been such a terrific partner. And Monika, without you, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So thank you so much for your great effort in bringing everyone together. I want to also just say to all of you that as we move forward, it's very important that we communicate the right way. And I think all of you are environmental leaders or leaders of some industry or government. I think it's very important that when we communicate that we don't just talk about climate change, because most people do not understand what that means. So therefore, I would suggest to communicate like a four-legged stool. We can talk about climate change and explain all that, but it is also important to talk about the health aspect. What we heard today so eloquently about there's 13 million people dying because of pollution, 6.5 million people alone from air pollution. So that is a staggering amount of people dying every year. But no one in the environmental community ever talks about that, interestingly enough. So I think it is very important that we talk about that. I also think that we need to talk about it always when we talk about the environment, that a green future can be a profitable future. And we have seen it in California over and over again. The amount of jobs we create, the kind of revenues that we have, and how well we are doing economically. We are the 6th largest economy in the world as a state. So we are basically a state nation. And we have the strictest environmental laws. So job creation is another very important aspect. And then the last one is of course, national security. The more we produce our energy ourselves locally, that is real power. So I think those are the 4 things that we need to talk about, the 4-legged stool. So that's number 1. And number 2, I never want to leave a conference without saying to the ordinary folks out there what you can do. I think that now technology permits us to have alternative fueled cars. So we don't get stuck anymore with diesel cars or trucks or with gasoline fueled cars, but there's electric cars, there's hydrogen cars, there's hybrid cars, there's all kinds of different technologies. As a matter of fact, as we speak, I have one of my Hummers sent over to Austria to make it absolutely 100% electrical. So this just shows to you that the kind of technology that is available, a car that used to be really a polluting car now can be totally clean. So this is, you can go also and put solar on your roof. You can buy your appliances now much more energy efficient. So technology is really on the end going to save us all. So I want ordinary folks to know what you can do to be part of our crusade, of our environmental crusade. And then I'm going to say, yes, I'm looking forward to May 15th next year, and I promise you, I'll be back.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. You know, I was waiting for that. We all were. All right, well, thank you, everybody. And we'd like to say now goodbye, good luck, and we'll see you next year. Alice is going to have the last word.
Well, I was going to say thank you very much, Reem, for your last words, but the real last words belong to our children.
Hasta la vista, baby.
I'll be back.